Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of SUGTalks. I'm Craig Dale, your host, and together with our special guest we'll take a deep dive into the topics, challenges and opportunities facing SAP users today. Please make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. I'm delighted today to be joined by Uwe Grigoleit, Senior Vice President of the Customer Evolution Programme at SAP. So welcome Uwe.
Thanks, Greg, for having me again.
Great to have you back, and I can't believe how long it's been. And in today's episode, we're actually going to be taking a further look at SAP's Customer Evolution Programme, how it's evolved in the past couple of years since we last spoke, and how it helps SAP customers with their journey to S4HANA and the cloud in particular. And just before we get into that, Uwe, I'd just like to ask you, if you could use a piece of technology from any film or TV series, what would you choose? And while you have a think about that, I immediately thought of time travel and thinking about the hot tub time machine. I know it's going back quite a few years, but lazing around in a hot tub, spinning through the years, wherever you want to go to, yeah, I think I'll go for time travel in the hot tub time machine.
Time travel is a great idea. I would even take something a little bit different. And there was a film about somebody driving a little bit of a crazy behaving car, a Volkswagen Beetle.
Herbie.
Right? Herbie, right? Exactly. And I would take Herbie. One reason because I'm really interested in my private time into also driving old cars, and I'm having also, or my wife is having, to be precise, an old Herbie. And but this Herbie can drive very nicely, but it cannot do all the fancy things that the Herbie was able to do in that television. And this is why, I mean, that would be my piece of technology that is to some extent also connecting futuristic topics, because Herbie was also really able to do some very crazy things even modern technology, modern cars cannot do. But combined with this great stuff of these old mechanical cars that, as I said, I'm really enjoying also in my private life.
Oh, fantastic. Love Herbie. And who'd have thought when, we were children watching the Herbie movies, it was the future of autonomous driving. Okay.
Exactly.
Maybe not wheelies.
He was doing better than my most modern car I'm having today.
Oh, Uwe, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. And so it was back at the end of 2022 when we last spoke about the Customer Evolution Programme. And just so for those listeners who perhaps haven't heard that episode, and those that might not be aware of the Customer Evolution Programme, it'd be great if you could start us off by giving a brief overview perhaps of yourself and also your role and what the programme is and who it's available to, if you could.
Yeah, perfect. Happy to do that. I'm working at SAP now 26 years, so the years were also flying on a little bit since our last talk. Originally started as a developer, was developing in the costing area of SAP for some of our larger customers, and then took over different roles at SAP, was also working in sales and sales management for quite some time. And then when we launched HANA as SAP, I was on a global perspective doing the go-to-market and the commercial models for everything that we built around and on top of HANA. So I took then the suite on HANA to the market back in 2013, S4HANA back in 2015, and I was also part of the team inventing the idea of RISE at SAP and also bringing it to the market. And then shortly before we talked last time, I changed my responsibility to join the Customer Evolution Program. That is a program that we as SAP have been building to really take care of our existing customers, of our installed base, and really to help them to get to all of these great innovations that over the past years and decades we have been bringing out. And I wanted to do this because with the launch of S4HANA, of course, that which is still at the center of our whole architecture and product portfolio. That, of course, was driving me around mainly then after 2015. But I've also seen that, of course, S4, the ERP system, is always the center of all of the applications our customers are running, but not the only application, also not the only from SAP. And this is why I really like the idea of the Customer Evolution Program, saying, look, we are looking at the customer holistically. We are, of course, looking at the transformation that is to be done on the core ERP, which is typically taking over most of the effort, or at least a huge part of the effort. But we are not stopping there. We are also looking into the technology applications around, be it classical integration software, PIPO, be it analytical software, the BW, or some of our old classical business Suite 7 applications like CRM, SRM, APO. So really look at all of these things holistically and define together with our customers a roadmap how to move from where they are today into a new architecture, into our target state. Of course, very nicely now, last week we announced the Business Suite as our North Star target state as well. And that, of course, nicely also supports now what I have been doing in the Customer Evolution Program already over the past years, because our holistic view that we started to build there, that is, of course, what we would also like to achieve now with the double down on the Business Suite as the target North Star architecture from our side. So that is what I'm doing, and I've been joining the program when we talked last time, and happily have been taking over the program now completely with the start of this year.
Oh, thank you. And so, yeah, when we did speak last time, we were talking about the key areas for SAP customers to focus on to drive value from their implementations and your plans for the program. And how has the program changed in the last couple of years?
So we didn't do fundamental changes in the program, but we nicely, I think, developed elements that are supporting also the plans that we shared back in 2022, right? So, as I said, the idea fundamentally is that we would like to demonstrate customers the value of moving ahead with their software architecture and software products. And we also then, on the other hand, would like to help them to identify, okay, how they could get there, right? So it's not only the why and the great shiny new world, but it's also the whole topic of how to get there and what it would mean also in terms of where they are and how they're using our software today. And in that context, we then also, of course, made up our mind in terms of what is it that we need to develop as tools, as services, as offerings to do exactly that. And so this is why one topic we developed, and to be honest, I'm not 100% sure whether I mentioned that name already last time we talked, but we are calling a Customer Evolution Kit, right? So, and that's an engagement format within which we are building a high-level roadmap together with a high-level value proposition for such a move with our customers in a type of five days engagement, right? Because we said, of course, for more complex customers, of course, a final roadmap is something that will take quite some time. But some very first ideas is something we should really be able to get in a reasonable time. So this is why we developed this evolution kit, and also then started with individual evolution kits for all of our solutions at the beginning, but now have also been in the past 2 years further evaluating on the concept, and we now have an evolution kit that follows what we are calling a +1 approach. So it's an evolution kit that is centered around the ERP transformation, because that for most of our customers is still the biggest elephant in the room, so to say. But it is called then +1 because it takes then, as an example, one additional application or application area into that evolution kit as well. So be it now that I also would like to look at my analytical landscape with my BW systems and BPC systems, or be it that I would like to look into my whole customer relationship management with CRM, Interaction Center, IPC, all of these type of applications. That, of course, customer can decide, right? But that is the evolution kit, and then the the further evolution of what we are now calling the +1 engagement format. Of course, moving forward, that's even now a little bit of an outlook already, especially with the launch of our business suite last week. We are, of course, also identifying, is there something like a business suite solution kit that we can also build? The only challenge that we are basically having is, of course, we would like to stick whenever possible still to the 5 days engagement. And as the whole business suite can cover, at least for some of our customers, such a large functional scope, it's a little bit hard to take it in 5 days. So that's why that's what we are looking at. So that evolution kit is one format that we have been building. We also have been driving, especially with our partners together, some events locally in the regions, right? And these are also things that we are very nicely doing together with our user groups as well, right? So if I'm not mistaken, also in the UK there is an event early March that we are driving. We are calling it Adoption Catalyst event. And it's really the name Adoption Catalyst has been carefully chosen, so to say, because we really would like to make sure it's not only about why doing that step, it's also about how to take that step. This is why we're calling it the Adoption Catalyst, because that is, of course, where most of our customers still struggling a little bit, right? So on the why side, of course, it's still important to know this, but to some extent also, I mean, we are all looking at some deadlines in terms of maintenance of products that are coming closer every day, so to say. So this is why sometimes the why is then also, of course, more and more a little bit dominated by timing as well. So this is why it is also, of course, at least equally important to get a good perspective on the how, and also on how it can be done, for instance, as pragmatically as possible, and how it can be, for instance, put into phases that are digestible. Because I mean, we are all looking into difficult, also economical surroundings at the moment, and this is why, of course, it has to be clear that what we are suggesting there is something that the company can also digest. Right.
Well, fantastic, and I know we're looking forward to that Catalyst event. As I think from our research last year, still the vast majority of customers, or the majority of customers, still need to make the move and get moving on their journey. So hopefully that will really help some drive into what they need to be doing on that journey to S4 and specifically the cloud. You mentioned partners as well, and so obviously the vast majority of implementations and transformations are delivered by SAP's partners ecosystem alongside SAP. So what role do the partners play in the program?
Yeah, thanks for that question, because definitely our partners have been playing, are playing, will continue to play a very central role in our whole program, in this whole transformation process, right? And from multiple aspects, right? Because especially when we are talking about a destination that is in the cloud, then there is this move of the customer will also be a change for the partner. Right, so because the business models of our partners are changing as well, from maybe even hosting classical ERP on-premise software for the customers now to implementing a cloud software that is completely run by SAP. So this is why, of course, partners are playing an important role, and we are really we're trying to work with these partners on all of these levels. Right, of course, we are enabling partners on all of the tools, also our evolution kit that we are having, so that they can completely leverage and use that as well. Right, we are driving jointly our Adoption Catalyst events where it makes sense to really also onboard them into these type of activities. We're also working heavily, of course, with partners when it comes to factory type of approaches for the technical transformation as such, right? Because many of our partners have also what they're calling transformation, conversion factories. And here, of course, we are working with the partners how we can optimize these things, how we can even automate topics there more and more with AI usage, and how they can really utilize these factories as much as possible. But then it's also really helping them to find ways how they can also adjust their business model with this new, especially with this new world move to the cloud, right? Because yes, I mean the hosting goes away, but for that, of course, a lot of our partners are now having ideas how they can, so to say, top our cloud services that we are delivering with additional services from their side that are then, so to say, taking over what they are kind of losing on the hosting side, right? And so this is why net it is so important to work with the partners, but it is also on very different dimensions, a very intensive collaboration and also enablement that we are doing with the partners, right? And last but not least, what has been developed by SAP, not by my team now, not to take anybody else's credits, but what has been developed by SAP over the past years here as well, jointly with input from my team, is what we are calling the RISE methodology. And this is a specific approach where we are saying, let's for the, so to say, classical transformation program from wherever the customer is today, be it already on S/4HANA on-premise or be it on a classical old ECC system on-premise, if they are then going to our private cloud, what is the, so to say, standardized way how to do it? This is what we are trying to document in the RISE methodology. And then, of course, the idea is that our partners are getting trained on the methodology, and that, of course, the aim is that with that we can more and more standardize elements of such a transformation program to, at the end, again, make it as short and as streamlined as possible.
Thank you. Fantastic. It's good to see the whole ecosystem coming together to support and drive those transformations. And just going, so now looking at the customer side, what are the benefits of the program for customers in 2025? And I suppose, how can they use a program to derive extra value from their SAP investments?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I think, so my simple answer, not only for 2025, overall for the program is, and it also has to do a little bit with my history, what I've been doing at SAP, I'm saying we are not primarily sales driven. So we are not a sales organization. Actually, with my change, taking the program over completely, we moved it over to our customer service and delivery board area under Thomas Saueressig. So we are not primarily sales driven, which means our interest is not to secure a deal this quarter or next quarter. Our interest is really to work on this long-term roadmap of the customer, right? Of course, I mean, we are working for SAP and we have an inherent interest also, of course, to bring SAP forward. So that's, I mean, that's very clear. But it's not, I mean, we are of course, with that freedom, so to say, we can look at a few things on the customer side a little bit differently, a little bit more flexibly. And that, to be honest, is definitely already a big value that we can demonstrate to our partners, to our customers. Sorry, but on top of that, I mean, we have a lot of very clear deliverables because, for instance, along with the evolution kit that I mentioned. First of all, that is something that customers under support are getting at no additional cost. So this is something we are delivering free of charge there. But also, if along with that activity, there are things like, for instance, the readiness check, where the customer needs operational support. Because believe it or not, I have quite some customers that were reaching out to us saying, I would love to do it, but at the moment I don't have time. I don't have even a capacity in my own IT, especially large and smaller customers, that can, for instance, implement the node for the readiness check and execute the readiness check. And so this, and if we come across such a case, then we have some consulting capacity available that we can then implement the node for the customer and even execute the readiness check. And then, of course, in the evolution kit, we are doing the readout and we are explaining the readiness check. So with that, I would like to show we are even sometimes very concretely doing hand-holding measures with customers that are helping them to overcome even very early hurdles that they are having to take the first step.
Well, thank you. And so that the service you mentioned there, there's no, I suppose, financial investment in element in there from a customer perspective to engage. And you mentioned there, obviously, customers and time. I suppose it's the time and the resource customers have to really commit to this to get the most out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So we cannot do anything there. So customer has to commit their own time, their own resources to that engagement. But that's basically the only thing we need from the customer, so to say.
Okay, on that drive to the future then, does the program help with future-proofing and being ready for future innovations?
Yeah, I mean, that's of course our aim, right? We are helping customers also to identify, for instance, where to use and how to use AI, right? So in that sense, we are also then of course supporting our customers to get future-proof for future innovations. And also with the overall architecture, right? So luckily, and that's also something that evolved a little bit since we last talked. With acquisitions like LeanIX on the enterprise architecture side, with acquisitions like WalkMe on the so to say people management, people UI side. We of course now also have tools that we are starting to use more and more in our engagement format as well, right? So the idea in the future is a little bit that instead of documenting always, dear customer, this is your enterprise architecture on a PowerPoint slide. I mean, why not directly using LeanIX to do that, right? And then of course, if a customer really decides, for instance, to onboard the RISE journey, then with the respective LeanIX subscription portion that is part of that RISE package, they can then continue to use it and leverage it, right? So that is how we are also starting to use more and more really, so to say, the end tools that the customer will get later on productively to pave their way and define their journey.
Thank you.
We know our community, but we don't know yours yet. Why not share the benefits of your UKI Sub membership with those who don't know about us? The UKI Sub referral scheme rewards you for helping to grow and develop our community. You can check out the link in the description to find out more about how you can get involved. Terms and conditions apply. We hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Customers are often concerned about security and compliance. I mean, we recently released a podcast where we were talking about cybersecurity and the move to the cloud specifically. How does the program assist customers in managing or mitigating risks related to security, data governance, and regulatory compliance?
Yeah, I mean, that is something that, so to say, we as a program, we don't have our own resources to do that, right? We are quite a small program. We are not hundreds of people, but here we are helping the customer to find the right contacts on our side, because we obviously, and especially also increasingly with our move to the cloud, have a huge amount of experts that are either technically looking into it, that are also discussing with customers things like, okay, if you are a global acting customer, then maybe there are specific regions in the world where you would like to treat differently than the rest, right? Because of potential risks of things are going differently in that region because of IP protection that they would like to drive, right? And these are, of course, multifaceted questions that the customers are having. And what we are doing as a program is that in the evolution kit, we are identifying in the early conversation with the customer, these are topics we have to double down on. Then we are helping the customer to find the right expert in SAP, or also sometimes on a partner side, to discuss this in detail, right? Because it's hard to find the one person that can answer all these questions, right? Be it geographical distribution, be it then sovereign cloud topics, right? I mean, this is coming up more and more. SAP is also heavily investing into sovereign clouds in different countries, right? But of course, the sovereign cloud looks a little bit different, and the requirements in nearly every country or at least region. And this is why, of course, we then always have to make sure that we are finding the right expert on SAP side that is supporting the customer. And that is our asset here. We cannot answer our question, but we can point the right person from SAP to the customer that is able to answer that questions.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, and I'm sure if there was a person who could answer every question, you'd never get to speak to them because the queue would be a mile long waiting to actually speak to them.
Yeah, exactly. It would be very expensive.
Very much so. And I suppose from a customer perspective, you know, we were talking about the investment being time and resource, and from engaging in the program, how do you help customers, you know, balance that cost versus value so that the customers, I'm sure, that have been through the program manage to make sure that the benefits outweigh the investment from the customer?
We are trying to balance that by, first of all, as I said, keeping it streamlined, right? So this evolution kit, the fundamental idea, 5 days, and then also we are in these 5 days. Of course, we are very focused and targeted in the interactions that we're having with the customer. We're also always clearly saying, look, I mean, for this session today, we need these type of skills from your side, or people capacities from your side. For instance, we're making sure that for a technical discussion, nobody from the business is there and spending his or her time about things that are not interested in. Vice versa, if we are then saying for the value, we need some business, we're also making it clear here we need, of course, a few people from the business to validate that. So this is, I think, that is really helping to minimize the investment that the customer has to do on that side. And of course, at the end, I mean, the value proposition comes then from the outcome, right? But what I have seen also in the past 2 years, of course, logically stepping into plenty of discussions with customers that are either starting their transformation journey or that have been starting it already and are in it. What I'm seeing is that customers are in many cases, and I have to say, unfortunately, from what I'm coming from, still struggling with some fundamental questions, right? So, I mean, I've been coming across a lot of programs that came to me and said, look, I mean, we started our transformation journey now the third time already, because the first two times were failing. We tried a system conversion, then we tried a new implementation, then we were even investigating all possibilities in between, right, with empty shell and things. So people are sometimes also getting lost, so to say, in the space of options. And I think one of our greatest value propositions is that we are trying. I mean, we are cannot present miracles, but we are trying to really help customers to not get lost in all of these options, but that we are really helping customers to identify, okay, this is the option that is even maybe the most pragmatic one for me. Right? Because, I mean, everybody, of course, can dream of if there's an ideal world and this is how I would do the ERP transformation project. But that's then maybe one of these projects that will never end and maybe even never start, right? So this is why one of our main value propositions is also that we are saying we are coming with a very pragmatic, well thought through type of proposal. And this is why also, for instance, when we are talking about this whole topic of system conversion versus net new implementation, more and more we are also suggesting customers to system conversions. Also because we are saying, look, I mean, if we're looking at the 2027 and then 2030 deadline that we are having on an ERP system, there's not all time of the world anymore that you can think about all possible variants how to do the program, right? So this is why we're then also trying to rather offer something that is a little bit more practically driven, where we are saying, okay, then maybe the best thing is to do a system conversion with some dedicated improvements, of course, coming along the line, and plan the respective innovations and also business process redesigns step by step after that, right? But the advantage is once I'm converted into the new framework, then of course I can start to use, for instance, early AI scenarios already. I can start to give the business already a few more business insights and predictive reports directly out of the system. And that, of course, is really helping the customer, especially in difficult and challenging times like today, to really get a reasonable project done.
Oh, thank you. And if I could just go back to, you mentioned the customer evolution kits and the talking about the potential of a business suite solution kit. How specifically are those kits helping customers with their transformation, whether it be to S4HANA, to the cloud? How is it helping customers on their journey?
I mean, what it is doing, first of all, it is presenting the fundamental value for the customer to take the step, right? But based on where they are coming from, so not the standard value proposition that, of course, everybody can take out of standard presentations, but really looking at their system, having done a process analysis with Signavio process insights of their use of the system, and then deriving these are really the 5 areas where we think you can get the most out of that move. And then it is really building, so to say, the rough roadmap, the first steps that customers can really then build on to really define their final journey. And for me, I mean, it's only 2 elements, but these are sounds a little bit simple, but the fundamental elements that we are giving customers at hand. And as I said, I mean, I've been seeing so many customers that were lost a little bit in all of these alternatives. What I'm sometimes saying is and also customers responded to me like this, that they said, one of the greatest values that you delivered is that after these interactions, we now decided to do it exactly that way. Right? No question anymore. We now know how to do it, and we are starting on it. We are not anymore in this time where everybody is coming with a new idea how to do something, but you have been helping us to really sort out, okay, this is now how we are doing it, and this is what will be our way forward. Right?
Oh, fantastic. So going back to where the customer is currently, helping them with a structure, with a process for their evolution and transformation. That's really the best way for them, helping them find the best way for them to move to the future.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it. And you mentioned artificial intelligence earlier, and I believe last year you began an AI initiative within the program. What does that entail, and how well has it been received?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. I mean, we are calling it GAIN, right? So it's because we would like that customers are gaining more speed on their project with AI in the middle of the word GAIN.
Like it.
So as you said, we started the program last year. For those that have been joining the Sapphire last year, you may have seen the Joule Consultant. This is one of the results that is coming fundamentally out of that initiative already. The idea behind it, Joule, that is our AI assistant that we are offering from SAP. We have educated that AI model, that large language model, with all of the knowledge content with which we are typically training our consultants. And with that, we have now an AI consultant, and you can ask that consultant classical questions that you would ask a classical SAP consultant, be it now a basis question for a basis consultant or a more business transformation question that you would ask the BTS consultant. All of these questions you can ask now the Joule for consultant, and you're getting very educated answers. And the big advantage is because you can also go out to ChatGPT or even DeepSeek or something like this and ask the same question. But there, of course, the answer is not tailored and not secured by SAP. And I would encourage people to try this out if you're going to one of these free chatbots and you're asking classical SAP implementation questions, you will get an answer, but not in all cases these answers are completely correct. Sometimes they are hallucinating, as we all know, these algorithms, and then they are proposing a step that factually does not exist in our systems. And that's something that doesn't happen with Joule Consultant, I can guarantee, because this is really a model that's only trained on our enablement material, and this is why it can be very good and precise and concise as well. And we are also doubling down on this whole topic this year. So for those that are planning to go to Sapphires in Orlando or Barcelona this year, watch out. We will have good demos on our further evolutions there. I cannot of course go into any more details, not to steal the fire there. But we have been doubling down on that, and we are also now looking specifically into things like, for instance, testing. And here, really holistically, right? Because, test automation and test data generation, I think that's a little bit commodity already. Everybody knows that there are tools around that are doing that, right? But we are starting prior, right? So we are saying that out of the process definition that our customers are doing in Signavio, we are using AI now to derive the test cases and also to derive a sufficient test case coverage, right? Because one of the challenges every IT CIO's IT department lead is confronted with is that if they're implementing a new process, how many test cases and with which level of detail I have to build to really ensure that my process is tested sufficiently. It's not so easy to answer, right? There are rules and things how you are doing it also according to ETL. But this is something there where we are now using AI, right? And AI can generate test cases and test case descriptions, and can also ensure that the variations of the test cases that are being generated are then sufficient to test that new process. And we believe that such type of automations and AI usage is really then something, if you're combining that with then the retrospective test case execution and test data generation that is done by AI, then you can really fundamentally bring down the efforts of the projects and gain 20, 25, 30% of time in such an implementation project, right? And this is what we are doubling down on. We're also looking into simple things like project documentation and also, of course, code documentation, right? And what we will also show then a lot more at Sapphire is custom code remediation and custom code generation. Right. So, last year we have been very careful yet with really using AI to generate automatic ABAP code, because at that point in time, the models have not been good enough and trained well enough to really create, especially modern ABAP code, right? Because of the history, they were good at creating old ABAP code, but that we don't want. But that has been improving fundamentally. And so this is what we also see will speed up projects substantially, right? Because all out of a sudden, when you now need a small enhancement for a specific sales order management or for a specific condition handling, you can just ask Joule, build me the code for a specific rebate handling and that type of sales order process. And then you're getting really good code already automatically generated. And we think that these are all elements that will really fundamentally help to speed up implementation projects, transformation projects, and really help customers to get faster to the result.
Oh wow, fantastic! I'll certainly make sure I pop by and see that at Sapphire. It sounds like there's a lot packed in there. Yeah. So thank you, Uwe. As we come towards the end of our conversation, if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice with regards to the Customer Evolution Programme, well, I suppose it is make sure you get on it. What would it be?
Yeah, my advice is also, it's going a little bit into that direction and very simple. And that's really use it to really start or accelerate your journey, right? So because, as I said, many customers really being a little bit lost in the space, so to say, with the alternatives. But it's really a good opportunity now to use it. And even if you have started your journey already, still especially when it then comes to the applications around, right? So even if I'm now luckily already with my old ECC system, I've been moving to SAP Private Cloud ERP or Public Cloud ERP. I'm still having maybe a BW sitting around, and now, of course, I would like to know how to leverage really the great advances of Business Data Cloud from SAP. So also there we can help, right? So that's but it's really take that opportunity of the offerings that we are having there, and as I said, I mean, really start with the transformation, because I think that is most of the customers I've been talking to that have really wasting time and months and even years over the past years. Of course, they are regretting it, right? Because there's a lot of money that also has been sunk, and so it sounds simple, but rather let's use that money to build some great AI stuff jointly together and bring our end users forward.
Well, thank you. And lastly, how can our listeners learn more about the program and get involved?
Yeah, there's a web page in sap.com in the support. If our customers are going to support.com or entering support.com customer evolution program, or in the support.com menu, there's a link to our customer evolution program central page, and from there you can directly navigate to registering for evolution kits, learning about our offerings, and getting directly in contact with us. Oh,
thank you, Uwe. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your insights. I really do appreciate you being on the discussion today. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Greg, for again having me.
Welcome. And we hope you've enjoyed the conversation and found it valuable. Please make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and keep evolving.